Hello, it is Grégoire Blanc. I am very happy to be live today on Theremin Online. So I have been invited by Peter Theremin to present some questions that I got from him and the Russian Theremin School. So I have got this long list of questions. There are 18 questions. And yeah, I will try to be as clear as I can. I am sorry for my English. You know, I speak as a French person, so I have this very strong accent that I can't get rid of. If anything is not clear, if you have any question during this live session, please do tell me in the comments and I will try to answer directly. So, the very first question that I have is from Peter Theremin. And he asked me how I feel in self-isolation. So obviously it is a very special time that we are living due to the coronavirus crisis. Yet I don't have to complain. I was lucky to be home with my instruments and to have this time to train, to make music, so I felt quite good, even though there is this very big disappointment not to be able to make music live anymore during this period. The situation in France is quite better. Since May the 11th, we now have the right to go out. So yeah, it's starting to be back to normal again. So let's start now some Theremin related questions. So Peter, you asked me if I have heard the new album of Clara Rockmore, Music and Memories, and what I do think about it. Of course, so Clara Rockmore passed away like 20 years ago, but a new album was recently released with old recordings from her. And some incredible things, like we have the entire Franck violin sonata that she recorded. And yeah, it is absolutely amazing to hear how well she plays. And yeah, it never ceases to be an inspiration for us. Clara Rockmore, she is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I think I will listen to it again quite often, because it is always a big source of inspiration. So next question, what do you think about the role of Clara Rockmore in the Theremin history and nowadays, and do we have Therminists of Clara's level today? This is a very difficult question, because of course you can't really compare musicians from one to another. You have very different things according to the time, to the context. Clara Rockmore was living in a time that we are not in anymore, and yeah, all the context around. So I am not sure that I can judge, and that any of us can judge if any Theremin player is comparable to Clara Rockmore. It is difficult to answer. What is sure is that, yes, she definitely proved that the theremin was a musical instrument, that it was possible to perform serious music on it, and she was absolutely fantastic for that. She was a pioneer, actually, and the theremin community owes a lot to Clara Rockmore, because without her, I won't be here in front of you today to discuss. So yeah, she has a big role. She had a big role in the past, and today again, because she's an inspiration. Well, so that's what I have to say in a short way about Clara Rockmore. Now, about the technique. So you asked me, Peter, that there is a lot of talks about the theremin technique. Different thereminists find their own different fingerings. And yeah, many people confuse the concept of theremin technique and fingering and what do I think about it? So to be clear about the theremin technique, once again, it's not, as you say, it's not clear because there is no clear technique for the instrument compared to the violin, for instance, where we have clear method books and clear recommendations for how to play. On the theremin, it is recent. The theremin has been invented less than 100 years ago. And I think that we still can develop new ways of playing it. So we have the example of Clara Rockmore, who first introduced some fingerings. And what I think is that it is very important to have some kind of fingering technique, because without it, you can't play the theremin just with the arm. You need some kind of muscle memory. And to this extent, if you can just have morphologically some kind of technique to grab your notes and to measure the air between the notes, it's a very good thing and it is very helpful. It is like on the piano, for instance, you can use fingering. If you play with only one finger, it will be very, very difficult for you to play difficult lines and melodies. So having a fingering position is very important. What I think is that we are free to find one that suits to us and to our style. Personally, what I use is inspired by Carolina Eyck. She has this 8-finger position technique, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 octave when she unfolds her hand. I am not very high on this. I make some adjustments also because I think that it is important for you to feel the music that you play and not to have scientific, to precise way, fixed, rigid, having some freedom also to shape your playing as you want is important. I'm not sure that I am clear towards your question, but yeah, fingering and theremin technique. I think that fingering is important and that it's difficult if you play without any sort of finger position. You have to develop something. It could be whatever, but you have to have this to play. Next question is, so my theremin approach, is there a clear system? What is the difference between your approach and the approach of other artists? My approach, it is difficult to judge your own approach, and I am not sure that I am clear on this question. Regarding the technique, it is, as I said, I adapt Carolina Eyck's technique. Then I try to, I started playing the cello when I was younger, and I have this big, strong influence of the bow. When you play, you shape your notes with the bow, and you bring life to music with the bow. And here on the theremin with the left hand, I try to do the same thing, to make it brace, to have an impulse. So this is my approach. I come from a string instrument and I try to somehow transpose this approach to the theremin. Then of course I think that as any musical instrument, you constantly have to improve, to discover new things. And my journey with the theremin is just beginning. I do hope that I will continue to make progress, and I think we all thereminists hope to continue to improve ourselves. And so I think that a great source of inspiration can come from other instruments. I am glad to play some piano sometimes and some other instrument, and it's good to have this input also from other instruments, and also to listen a lot to different kind of musics. This is important to change your approach towards the theremin. Okay, now I have a question also from you, Peter. about the music also. So you say, Dear Grégoire, on the May issue of the French Synthfest Festival, you presented a performance with theremin and musical saw. Would you please tell us how you came to the musical saw? So yes, I do play the musical saw, but not as seriously probably as I play the theremin, because the musical saw is not, so to say, in my mind, an instrument on which you can really express yourself as well as the theremin, for instance. It is ways more difficult, but it is also because I didn't train enough on the musical saw. You see, on the musical saw, when you play a note, you launch a vibration on the blade, and then you can hardly stop it or shape the sound that you are making. So if you want to really play music expressively on the musical saw, you have really to find ways to control this continuous vibration, and it is very difficult actually. So on the musical saw, when I play the musical saw, it's only for slow tunes and slow melodies. It is hard for me, you know, to be versatile on the musical saw and to play many different things. I should try maybe something else, but for right now, you know, it's more like a hobby. And yeah, sorry, you asked how I came to this instrument. It was maybe 2 years after I started to play the theremin, because I was told that it was similar to the theremin, so I thought that it would be funny to try. So I bought a musical saw and I started to play, and actually, yeah, it is very different. What is similar is that you have the notes in a continuous field. You have no frets, no clear pitches that are delimited. So when your ear is trained with the theremin or with the cello, you can play the musical saw quite easily, I think. So yeah, it's a nice instrument to have in a collection and to play sometimes. Okay, so that was for the musical saw. Now you ask me about the cello. Apparently you read on my website that my cello teacher influenced my theremin performing. Yes, actually, so the cello was the very first instrument that I started with. And my cello teacher at the time, when I said, oh, look, I have found a very cool instrument, the theremin, I am so happy to try, she was like fantastic, because she helped me a lot, you know, just to think musically about the instrument and try to just train my listening to what I to play, and just giving me musical advices, you know, not technical, because of course, I mean, technical advices on the theremin is very difficult because we can't really learn it, or at least when I started in France, I had no one to ask advices. So, but musically, she was there just to listen to my playing and to say, okay, you should maybe try this thing, or so. And I really think that it is important when you begin to play the theremin to have musicians around you that will give you feedback, you know, just to tell you if how you can be more musical with the instrument. Sorry. So yeah. And do you continue your cello practicing? I gave up a little bit. I am not really serious with the cello now. Sometimes I pick it and I play a little bit, but just for fun. I mean, I'm not sure that I would like professionally play it on a gig or something like that. have questions from your students from the Russian Termin School. So Irina Koval, you asked me 3 questions. The first one is, Dear Grégoire, you have started playing the theremin at the age of 15 after discovering it at your physics class. What were your first emotions and impressions after seeing and hearing the theremin on that day for the first time? My first emotion was I was amazed. I mean, you have this instrument, you have 2 antennas, nothing to touch, no physical contact, and you hear this electronic sound coming out of nowhere. It is magic. I mean, we all share this first impression when we see a theremin. How does it work? What is the trick behind? And so I really wanted to know more about this instrument that I first discovered. You know, it was like just 10 minutes. The physics teacher told us about this instrument, and okay, what can I do with that? How does it even exist? Are there theremin players around? So when I came home this same day, I typed strange instrument with 2 antennas on Google just to see what I could find. And okay, so it is a real instrument. Now, if I want to buy one and to try, where can I do that? And I found a second-hand Moog Etherwave standard theremin for sale. I convinced my parents at the time that it would be a very good idea to to invest in this instrument. And I started to play, and really I didn't expect that I would continue and I would go like very serious with this instrument. And strangely, it quickly became very intuitive to me, you know. When I first started to make some melodies with the instrument, you have this deep feeling, this connection with the instrument, because you are the instrument, as there is no interface, there is no physical contact, there is nothing to put in motion, but just your hands and your body towards the theremin. And I had a very good feeling about that. So yeah, it was, so to come back to your question, it was an amazement first, and I think that this amazement about the instrument continues to be present today. Then you ask me, Irina, how long did it take for me to learn how to play properly the first pieces, and what advice I have for someone who is just starting to learn how to play. So how long did it take? I can't really tell, I don't remember. Maybe like 6 months of hard work, you know, to get used to the instrument and to have a good hearing of what I was playing. But after 6 months, you know, I wasn't really musically proficient. I was able to play something, but it was not really interesting. Then maybe after a year, I was, you know, the Clair de Lune from Debussy that I have posted on YouTube. I played this, for instance, like 1 year after I started to play. So it gives you an idea of what I was able to do in a certain amount of time. But no, there is. And by the way, I'm not satisfied at all with this video. No, I think that learning how to play the theremin as any instrument is a lifetime process. I mean, you never stop to learn more. So it can take a long time. And so what advice I would have for someone who is just starting to learn how to play? My advice is keep practicing, keep listening to different things, grab ideas from everywhere you can, listen to Clara Rockmore, listen to theremin players on YouTube from different countries, from different musical backgrounds, just listen, and also to music in general, classical music, experimental things, everything, and just try to make your own idea about what you want to express musically. And we are lucky to live in a century where internet is available and we can communicate through distance, like today. We can exchange ideas, and we should take this opportunity to really grab ideas. I am sorry, I am so confused in what I say. I have no... And my English is terrible, but I hope that you understand me. Okay, now question number 10. In what genre of music do you enjoy playing the theremin the most? Do you prefer recording or playing in front of a live audience? So I mostly play classical music because it is my background with the cello, but and I think also that the theremin is very well suited for classical music, as Clara Roquemore showed to us. But definitely I am also trying to develop new things because there are so many different repertoires that you can approach on this instrument. So yeah, I am also fascinated by, you know, folk music and for instance Arabic music. There are some wonderful melodic lines that you can play on the theremin that it's just wonderful. I am not experimented in that, but it is something that I am really interested in. Then you have also like more experimental and contemporary music, and it's fantastic because the theremin has a very unique voice, and you can use it to new compositions and to new styles in electronic music. So that's something that I really enjoy, and I hope to develop it more. I didn't release anything public about that yet, but I am experimenting. And so, do I prefer recording or playing in front of a live audience? I mean, these are the two activities that you do as a musician, playing live and recording. And of course, I like both. What I like about recording is that I can, you know, play different instruments virtually at the same time. I can record a piano track and then record the theremin on top of that. So that's the freedom that can be brought by recording. But no, of course, playing in front of a live audience is something fantastic because you have this direct contact with the audience, and you share your emotions. I mean, live with the people who are watching you. So that's really something I like, and I am really looking forward to playing concert soon again. Okay, so thank you, Irina, for your questions. Mashinka, it is your turn now. You ask me, do you think the high expressiveness of the theremin is one of the natural organic properties of this musical instrument? Yes, of course. The theremin is a very expressive instrument, and it is fantastic. I mean, it's one of the only electronic musical instruments that is expressive. If you say, for instance, a synthesizer is not expressive at all. It's a wonderful machine, amazing, but you can't put expressivity when you play the synthesizer, for instance. And the theremin, like the onde Martenot, like the trautonium, it's a fantastic interface on which you can shape a sound, you can shape music, and make it breathe. And of course, it is a very unique thing to the theremin. And you know, what I like about the theremin is that it is extremely simple. You have like two parameters, the pitch antenna, the volume antenna, that's it, nothing more. And just with these two parameters, you can really make deep expressive music, and that's fantastic. So yeah, so it answers actually to your second question, Mashinka. What do you like the most about the Theremin? So as I say, its simplicity is definitely something great. I mean, the only limit is your musicality, but the instrument is in itself simple, and that's fantastic. That's pure. Then you ask me, what is the theremin in your life? Is this a hobby, an extra instrument, or something more? Well, at first it was a hobby. Now it is more than that, because I dedicate my musical career mostly to this instrument. It definitely changed my life. I mean, thanks to the theremin, I have met many other musicians. I have had this great opportunity to travel around the world, to play concerts, to make recordings, to try different things. And no, it is just fantastic. I mean, without this instrument, if I hadn't had this opportunity to find really the instrument that would fit my inner musical wishes, yeah, I wouldn't have probably considered to make music professionally. And yeah, fantastic. Okay. Now I have two questions by Gleb Zahodiakin. I am sorry if I misspell your name. First question. You are very active with performances and recordings. Are there plans for an album? If not, where can we hear more of your music? Yeah, indeed, I have this great luck to have this opportunity to perform and to record a lot. I do have plans for albums. Very first one would be classical music, a trio for theremin, cello and piano with Belgian musicians. And I hope that we can make the recording session later this summer. So that's the first album idea. Then, yeah, I am also collaborating with this stunning Canadian composer, Alex Schirmer. And we are planning to record an album for theremin, piano and electronics. So that's also something that we will build later on, but it is in the pipeline. And I have also another great project of album with theremin, percussion ensemble, and two piano. And but I can't tell more right now. It is not well defined. So yeah, I have at least 3 album projects that I would love to put together, but it will come later. I mean, it is not maybe for now, very soon. But I will continue. You know, YouTube is a fascinating channel, and I hope to have more time to, you know, put more content on my YouTube channel, different styles, different ideas. For now, I mostly played classical music on YouTube. I will try different things. You will see in the following months. I hope to make new content. Okay. So your next question, Gleb, is: do you think that the theremin has a potential in electronic music? Do you have any projects that combine theremin with synthesizers or other electronic musical instruments? Yes, of course. It's a dream of mine to put something like... I would love to have some kind of solo project, something that I could present live in front of an audience. And if I could play like everything on stage, different instruments with the theremin. And I am really fascinated by synthesizers, modular synthesizers especially, because it offers such a flexibility in the sound processing. So yeah, it's once again, it is something that I am working on. I have been working with synthesizers for maybe 2 years, but I keep it for me right now because I am not ready to share it online or live. Yeah, I do think that the theremin has a fantastic role to play in electronic music, and there are many things to do in this area. So keep in touch with that, and follow me on social media, and maybe one day you will see something for theremin and electronic music. Okay, now I have a question from Aglaya. You ask me about the music education system in France. What subjects and disciplines did you go through and where? Well, the music education system in France is difficult for me to describe because actually there are plenty. You have the conservatory, which is very classical. You learn to play an instrument seriously. Then you have independent music schools, which are more like associations. Personally, when I started to play the cello, it was a small music school. I had a private cello teacher, and so then I played the cello for maybe 10 years with her. Then I decided, I was a teenager, I decided to stop to play the cello, and I started to play the trumpet at the conservatory this time. And I came back to the cello at the conservatory, and after that I quit the musical education system, and I just learned by myself, reading, music theory books, listening, exchanging with professional musicians, and that was great actually. And I learned many things just by meeting people and gathering things. So yeah, to come back to the music education system in France, really I don't know what I can answer to you. And I was not like a very serious student in this formal education system. I always went out of the box, and I had ideas. I wanted to try different things. I wanted to play other musical instruments. So I'm not the right person to ask about the musical education system. Sorry for that. Okay, next question. Mauritius, you ask me who is my favorite Russian composer. That's very difficult questions because there are so many great Russian music composers. Of course, I do love the very well-known ones like Shostakovich, Prokofiev, Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, of course, Rachmaninoff. I recently discovered also Reinhold Glier, who is not well known in Europe at least. He is not in the mainstream, but he has some wonderful pieces, and I just fell in love with his concerto for coloratura soprano. That's really a fantastic piece. And then, of course, I really enjoy, the more modern and contemporary Russian composers like Stravinsky. The Rite of Spring is really something amazing that I never stop listening and listening again. So many great Russian composers, and I wish to learn more also about the Russian music schools, the Russian tradition. There are many very inspiring things in your country. Okay, Volodia, you have 2 questions for me. The first one is, what was the most funny case in your life related with theremin? A funny case, let me think. You always have funny things to share about the termin. Is it like when you are performing live and things aren't happening as you would expect? You are on stage and there is an interference and you can't play and it's terrible. Or when you try to travel, for instance, you take the plane and the border agent who checks your luggages looks at you as if you were carrying a bomb or whatever. But I have no specific thing to relate, like as a funny anecdote. Yeah, playing the termin is an adventure, and you always have funny things happening. Okay. The last questions here is: imagine that you can talk with Lev Termin. What would you ask him? It would be amazing to be in front of him, and I think that I would be very intimidated because he's such a personality, you know, such a great inventor. Of course, I would be extremely curious about his life, about his ideas. He had so many very, contemporary ideas about music. He was a visionary also about the future of musical instruments, and I would love to learn more about what he had in mind, and also to have his feedback. What would he have thought about me playing the theremin, about theremin performers, about theremin technique? If I had this opportunity to talk to him, yeah, that would be so many things. But it's not possible, so we can only wonder and imagine. Okay, that's it for the questions that you sent me, Peter. Thank you very much for that. I hope once again that I was clear in my answers. If you have more questions to ask me, maybe you can write here in the comments, or feel free also to contact me. You can find me on Facebook. If you have anything that you want to discuss, I am available anytime. And to conclude, yeah, I really hope to meet you, online audience, for real soon, and especially the Russian theremin community. Yeah, I hope that it will be possible very soon. Okay, well, thank you, and see you. Bye.